Hello, everybody. This is the Overthinker, and welcome to the channel. We've got the Jets game versus the Steelers. Steelers wound up winning 34-32 at the end there. Pretty interesting game, especially for a Lions fan. Definitely a lot of storylines to follow this season with the Jets, especially. And also for this game, definitely you had revenge vibes for both quarterbacks playing against their former teams that they were on last year. And I would say both quarterbacks played pretty well. I was not really surprised, but I definitely think there may be something to the way Justin Fields played in this game. And I think Aaron Rodgers, it was more kind of the same. I feel like he played solid last year, not amazing. And I think mostly this game he played solid. He had some really nice throws, though. And I guess firstly, I want to say this is not the first time Justin Fields has looked good. And yeah, it was 2023. Okay, Justin Fields versus the Lions had 223 yards, a touchdown, also had a rushing touchdown. Had a really nice game beating the Lions. And yeah, so it's definitely not like the first time we've seen this. I just want to say right off the bat. But also I do feel like you're starting to see consistent progression. And maybe you'll get just less of the bad games. And that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see Justin Fields be decisive, definitely over the middle, and this is definitely a game where he was pretty decisive. Most of the time the ball was coming out quick or he was scrambling. And also quite a few times he was scrambling to throw, which is something we haven't probably seen enough. There were a couple times this game where he's kind of scrambling and then finds the guy over the middle and zips it in there for a nice play. Now, I will say you got to be a little careful when you're doing that. Sometimes in zone coverage, sometimes the defender's looking right at you and just waiting. But if Justin Fields is taking off, also defenders have to kind of respect his ability to run because they are the next guy in terms of like trying to tackle him if he's actually going to take off. So definitely something interesting to look at there. Also, I wanted to say it's pretty interesting that Caleb Johnson basically didn't play at all in offense this game for the Steelers. Yeah, I'm not really sure. He only had one carry, and I'm not even sure if he had another snap. But yeah, it's going to be kind of hard for him to just take the backfield with Tyler Warren on this team for the Steelers. So yeah, I would say maybe it's possible as the season goes on, Caleb Johnson kind of takes more of the early down role in this offense, and then Tyler Warren might take like the passing game stuff away from Kenneth Gainwell, who definitely played a lot on like obvious passing downs. But either way, I wouldn't worry too much. I feel like the Steelers are going to be able to run the ball regardless of which one of those two guys is in there. They're both, I think, pretty solid running backs. And yeah, I guess we'll talk mostly about the Steelers first here. Definitely wanted to mention the play calling. It looked really nice as far as Arthur Smith. A lot of like motion and shifting, pre-snap shifting and stuff. And it felt like Rodgers had a lot of control to change things as well, which is cool. And yeah, that's something that Aaron Rodgers is just going to give you. He's always going to have the ability to get to plays that other quarterbacks wouldn't even really think of because he's seen every coverage. It's not like it's impossible to trick him, but you definitely are playing with fire if you think you're going to get a free rusher on him. And yeah, if he knows what's coming, he's going to have the answer. That's going to make this offense very explosive, and you could see a lot of big plays because of that. Yeah, and also for Arthur Smith, I thought it was really interesting how they used DK Metcalf. In Seattle, he was more of like an outside guy. They didn't really move him around nearly as much as they did week one here for the Steelers. He was lining up in the slot. He also, I don't know if he lined up in the backfield, but they definitely threw it to him behind the line of scrimmage quite a bit on like screen plays, things like that. And they were very creative with how they were getting the ball to Metcalf. It wasn't just go run by the cornerback, right? So that is good to see. And it's also good to see Metcalf kind of excel in that role. I felt like he looked explosive in terms of like changing direction. We haven't really seen a lot of that from Metcalf so far in his career. He just hasn't been used that way. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was also smart how they used the tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Freiermuth, and Darnell Washington. I felt like Darnell Washington was kicking ass in the run game, and Freiermuth was doing a pretty good job with the catches. And then you also had Jonnu Smith. They basically used him like a big slot, That's where he's used. That's where he's best. Get him the ball. He can break tackles. He's a smart player. He can do contested catches things as well, but he's also, you get him in open field, he can make guys miss. So, and yeah, other than that, I really thought that the Steelers had some issues on the offensive line, definitely on the left side. Roderick Jones as well as Isaac Seumalo. Yeah, both of those guys really just could not block anyone one-on-one. Now, the Jets have a good front four, so I wonder what that'll look like versus a team that's like not that good in the front four. Not a lot of guys could just block Quinnen Williams, obviously. Seumalo had a huge problem with him, as well as Jermaine Johnson and the other guys he had to line up against. Pretty much any time one of those guys was one-on-one with Isaac Seumalo was a problem, and also Roderick Jones lost a lot as well in pass coverage. And I'd say a lot of the struggles with the Steelers' offense were basically those two guys getting beat on third down. Other than that, this offense looked pretty good, I would say. And Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions that were basically dropped. I think one of them was in the first half, kind of over the middle. Yeah, I think it was like on a stop route. He kind of left it on the outside. And then you had that play later. I think it was Brandon Stevens on the second one in the fourth quarter. Definitely could have been an interception. Rodgers just kind of threw that ball as he was under pressure. So, yeah, if you are a Jets fan, definitely there's a lot to look at this game in terms of like how things could have gone, And, yeah, for Jets fans, you had a lot of crazy plays like this fumble on the kickoff where Kenneth Gainwell somehow just like gets off the ground after he falls and then just like, I don't know how he even got in that. Such an insane play there. Like, that is like not a play you're going to see every week, obviously. Then you had that dropped interception by Brandon Stevens. Then you also had this play by DK Metcalf, kind of a ridiculous, immaculate reception type play. And yeah, like basically 9 times out of 10, this is an interception, but somehow the ball just bounces right back to Metcalf and like somehow he catches it. That was kind of crazy. So, yeah, totally for the Jets, there's a lot of good things to look at going forward. I felt like the offensive line was really good, opening up holes in the run game. Also, Breece Hall looked really quick and fast. He was breaking tackles as well, but I think it was more just like the speed to get to the second level was there again. And, yeah, I had him in fantasy last year, and a lot of the games I watched, it was like maybe he'd have one nice run, but, like, a lot of the other runs, he wasn't as decisive and stuff. So, yeah, that's good. I feel like he's definitely back healthy right now and explosive, and trusting in his ability to get to that second level is probably a big thing. And, yeah, we could totally talk about Aaron Glenn bringing some toughness to this team, I think. Definitely, the defense last year was not good, and hopefully the defense will be better going forward. Hopefully you won't play against, a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers every week, but a very good chance that going forward you start to see the defense get off the field a little more on third down, I think. But on the offensive side, it was really good on the offensive line. I felt like both tackles played really well. Armand Membou and Olu Fashanu, both of those guys played really well, especially in the past game where they had some tough matchups, So that was pretty impressive. Also, I definitely felt like Jeremy Ruckert was playing really well. There were a couple plays where he kind of chipped a guy and then got out into the passing route and then made a nice play. Definitely on that play where he was against T.J. Watt, he just kind of like jacked him and threw him right into Armand Membou and then got downfield and caught the ball. And yeah, Jeremy Ruckert might be kind of a weapon for the Jets. You don't really see a lot of tight ends that are that good at like kind of chipping then getting out into the route. And yeah, I think the Jets could definitely be a really fun team to watch going forward, especially if they keep running the ball well and if Fields just stays decisive like he was versus the Steelers. They definitely could be a team that definitely surprises going forward. And it was pretty interesting to see, what he looks like with Garrett Wilson once again. It's just a wide receiver that he definitely trusts, and you saw that on the touchdown throw, but not just the touchdown throw. There were a few throws this game with really tight coverage where he just let it rip. And, man, he has the arm strength. He has a good throwing motion. especially when he is kept clean in the pocket. He is going to deliver accurate passes. The thing for him was, can he throw the ball with really a half a yard separation on like a 10-yard route? That was kind of the problem for most of his career, and that's the thing that he needs to work on. And in this game, it was a lot better. And yeah, that throw to Garrett Wilson was beautiful, and he's plenty capable of making those kind of throws. And as an Ohio State fan, I'm definitely rooting for Justin Fields going forward to just consistently get a little better, every time he gets on the field, and just, have a few less of those moments where he just doesn't make a decision, basically. And yeah, I guess you also had Sauce Gardner following Metcalf around for a lot of this game. That's something you haven't really seen a lot of. Usually he just stays on his one side. But that's interesting to see if they continue with that. And I also wonder if they might eventually make it so he lines up in the slot when you have like someone like Justin Jefferson or something. Is it better to give him a two-way go versus your slot corner, or a two-way go versus Sauce Gardner? That's what I would ask. And I think he's the kind of guy that can do that. So in my opinion, that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see him move into the slot with the elite receivers that he plays against. It is tough. That's a tough matchup, but he's the guy that you want, I think. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. You basically had the last play of the game here with Jalen Ramsey kind of coming down and forcing this one out. This was a really good hit, and definitely for the Steelers, that's a big thing to have somebody like that on your secondary who's going to just bring some physicality to the defense. Definitely something they haven't had at the cornerback position for a while. And also I wanted to say the two plays before that play were basically plays where I feel like Fields could have made a decision. He had the play, it was Mason Taylor over the middle. I feel like he was under pressure because the left guard lost, but I feel like he could have got it off. But yeah, it's all about just consistently making better plays and having less of those plays where he doesn't really make the correct decision fast enough, doesn't get there fast enough. But I do feel like overall, you got to be really happy if you're a Jets fan with what you saw today from him, as well as Tanner Angstrain, the offensive coordinator, who also came from the Lions, was like a quarterback coach, I guess. Yeah, because, there were definitely open receivers today, and if the offense was definitely pretty creative for the Jets as well. So that's something good to look forward to. So yeah, pretty fun game. I would say this game definitely left me interested in how the season goes for both of these teams. So I definitely will be keeping an eye on both of these teams going forward. And yeah, just week one, I don't think you can really say anything declarative, but Fields look good. Jets offensive line looks pretty good, especially the tackles. Fields definitely has a connection with Garrett Wilson, and also like these tight ends. He threw some throws over the middle that were tight, and that's good. And then for the Steelers side, definitely that offensive line is going to be a problem if they play against teams that have a good front four. We'll just have to see how that goes. But we also know that Aaron Rodgers is definitely able to throw the ball still. And if the Steelers can play a little better on defense, this definitely could be a really good team to watch. And definitely a team that challenges for the playoffs with the Steelers. And that's all I have for you today. We will catch you in the next video. Might be a video on the Lions and Bears. Maybe tomorrow. Still got to watch the Bears game to see kind of what their offense was looking like. But yeah, we'll catch you in that next video, and that's all I have.